Ecosystem is all about aspirations, mindset, enthusiasm, hope, energy, daredevilry, courage, and can-do spirit. Of course, it requires infrastructure, it requires money and other resources. But as somebody who was part of a team that took $250 and converted into $7 billion in revenue and $30 billion in market capitalization, I can tell you that infrastructure and resources will follow a good leader. And therefore, I think all of us in this room and elsewhere outside must salute Desh for bringing a breath of fresh air, for bringing a can-do spirit, for bringing the change we can believe in spirit to this region. Now, you're all in the area of social entrepreneurship. I don't know much about social entrepreneurship, but having walked the journey of entrepreneurship, I have a few ideas on what entrepreneurship journey is all about, at least from my perspective. And I do know, having interacted with lots of entrepreneurs, I happen to serve both on the Ford Foundation in New York and in United Nations Foundation, on United Nations Foundation board in New York. Therefore, I do have a little bit of idea about what social entrepreneurship is. And I find there are several commonalities. Therefore, I will use those commonalities and that experience of mine to talk about what we need to do to enhance social entrepreneurship. Before that, let me take you back to 1981 when we founded the company, and then fast forward to 2011 or 2012 when we're all celebrating the success of the Deshpande Foundation. 1981 was a period when India was extremely business unfriendly. It took us 50 visits to Delhi and about 3 years to get a license to import a $50,000 computer. It would take us approximately about 15 days of waiting at the corridors of the central bank to get a permission to travel abroad for a day. It took us about 2 years to get a telephone connection. There used to be a joke in India those days, and that was half the people are waiting for a telephone and the other half are waiting for dial tone. So the conditions those days was extremely difficult. In fact, in 1990, there was an offer to buy us out for $1 million. And all my younger colleagues got highly excited. And they wanted to sell the company. And I said, look, why don't we have a discussion for at least 3 or 4 hours and be clear about what we want to do before we take this decision. So at the end of this 4-hour discussion, I said, look, I have confidence in the future. I know we are in a dark tunnel, but I see the end of the tunnel, and I am willing to buy all of you out. And of course, in a matter of hour, all of them came back to my side, and then I said, from now onwards, we will never ever be pessimistic. And of course, the rest is history, as they say. $1 million in 1990 is today $30 billion, which is, as you people know, 30,000 times. So, but let Let me fast forward to 2012. Today, as I said this morning, there are two Indias. But let me talk about the India that is shining. Today, our GDP is the second fastest growing in the world. We have one of the largest foreign exchange reserves in the world. We have the second largest foreign direct investment in the country. We have the fastest growing telecom subscriber growth in the world. You name it, almost on every one of these dimensions, there is a part of India that is growing. Based on the discussions that I've had yesterday, based on my experience, I would like to say the following. First, each one of you must have a very clearly defined objective. I would prefer just one objective, but in rare cases you may have two or three. But my own suggestion is have one objective, because as those of you who have done mathematics know that optimization of a single variable function is so much easier than the optimization of a 3 variable, 4 variable, n variable function. Second, it is extremely important for you to create a roadmap as to where you want to go in terms of your objective. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, hopefully 50 years from now. Third, when you write down the roadmap, you have to have very clearly defined key performance indicators. What are the 4 or 5 or at best 7 parameters that you will constantly measure and realize where you are in this wonderful journey of transforming the world? Because, as all of you know, what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. Third, I think it is extremely important that you think of each one of your social enterprises as institutions that will be in existence, that will grow and be alive for the next 200 to 500 years. At Infosys, in my company, whenever we do something, we assume that the institution will be in business for 500 years. We all know that we won't be there. It doesn't matter. As long as we form a chain which will pass on leadership from one generation to another generation. As long as we pass on the value system from one generation to another generation. As long as we pass on a bigger and bigger dream from one generation to another generation. I believe that this world will be a better place. Now, the moment I talk of longevity, what that means is you have to learn to operate, learn to institutionalize scalability. That is, you have to imagine your processes, your systems, your leadership to handle bigger and bigger and bigger tasks. As long as you ask this question, am I doing things faster today compared to yesterday, last week, last month, last quarter, last year, you will be a winner. As long as you ask the question, am I bringing better quality of data to the table today compared to yesterday, last week, last month, last quarter, last year, the organization will move forward. Of course, none of this is worthwhile unless you can indeed get to a higher and higher level of excellence. As long as you ask the question, am I doing things with a higher level of excellence today compared to yesterday, last week, last month, last quarter, last year, you are automatically onto something better. Finally, let me say this. Work is important, but it is as important that you have fun. You must have fun. Life is not all about serious stuff. Therefore, please make sure that outside of your work, have lots of fun, be happy, be joyful, enjoy the company of your loved ones. Make sure that you have time for them, because at the end of the day, without a happy mind, I don't think you can make others happy. And finally, let me close with what my definition of success is. I spoke about it yesterday probably. I was once at Davos asked by Rick Wagoner, the CEO of General Motors, as to what my definition of success was. I was in a panel discussion. And I told him, I said, for me, success is the ability to bring a smile onto the face of people when I enter the room. I said, for that, I don't need to be rich. I don't need to be powerful. I don't need to be handsome. I don't need to be beautiful. All that I need to be is to make the other person feel that I want to make his life better in whatever little way I can. So as long as every one of us keeps that in mind, that we will indeed strive to make the lives of people around us slightly better, you are all successes. By that count, I must say that every one of you has already achieved a great level of success, much more than some of us. But then this is asymptotic. You still have certain ways to go, and therefore be happy, make others happy, of course doing legal and ethical stuff that's given, and have a good life. Thank you very much.